Okay, guys, I'm going to take two videos here and go over the first page of the snare drum etude. For those of you who haven't been here for the last 2 weeks, there's a PDF of the snare drum etude in the band app. You need to download that and print it out, if at all possible, so you're not having to take up a device to read the music off of. And please don't try to read the music off of your phone. You can't do it. I'm basically going to recreate what we did the last 2 Tuesdays when we met. One day we went over some of the stuff on the first page. The other day we kind of covered the rest of it. I'm going to do that over the course of 2 videos. On the day of the first day of school, that is going to be due. You have an assignment. Okay, if you intend to be in percussion this year, on the first day of school, which will be you at your house. We'll be doing distance learning for the first couple weeks. Day one, you need to have the first half of the snare drum etude learned. Okay, so I am not going to start day one rehashing stuff that most of the students have already been over. Okay, so I'm not going to give this lesson again. If you need help, you're more than welcome to watch the videos as many times as you want. Send me a message in the band app. Ask one of your friends. But it's on you to get that figured out for the first day. First page of the snare drum etude. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to cover every measure. If you have not already, pause the video and number all your measures, 1 through 16 for the first page. Do that now. Okay, because I'm just going to be calling out measure numbers and it's going to slow you down to have to count them out. Okay, so the main thing you need to know to start is that initially you're going to think of this not in 4/4, but in 8/8. In other words, the 8th note is going to get the beat. So at the top of the page, the metronome marking says quarter equals 76, which is about right here. You are instead going to think 8th note equals 152, which is right here. So this is your 8th note now. So there's 8 of these in a measure, okay? And we're just going to count to 4 twice. So a measure of 8th notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? I'm going to slow it down for now. Speaking of a measure of 8th notes, that's the first thing we're going to do. Take a look at measure 5. Okay? Disregarding the roughs and the flams, it's just a measure of 8th notes. I slowed my metronome down to 110 once this video is over. I recommend you practicing somewhere around 110. Okay, so measure 5 is a measure of 8th notes, and each one gets a beat. So we're going to count that measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 with a decrescendo. Okay, so the rhythm would be, we're going to do it all on the right hand. That's that measure, and then you add the grace notes. Okay, and that's the beginning of the roll. Okay, so another way to think of that is I used the idea of taking away a beam. Okay, a lot of people struggle with faster rhythms. Rhythms that have a lot of beams, 16 notes, 30-second notes, broken 30-second notes. If you just take away one of the beams and think about that rhythm, it makes it a lot easier. So basically in this measure, what we did was we took all those 8th notes, which have one beam, we removed a beam, which leaves them with no beams. And when you take away beams from 8th notes, kind of picturing them in your head, now take away the beam. Okay, now you have quarter notes, and that's how you're going to count them. Okay, so that's measure 5. That's the easiest one. So now if we look at the very first measure, we'll kind of go back to the beginning here. Measure 1. So we have a dotted 8th note followed by 2 30-second notes. Okay, remove a beam. So that rhythm is now a dotted quarter note plus 2 16th notes. Okay, so the dotted quarter note gets a beat and a half, and then the 2 16th notes are teta. 1, teta, like that. Okay, so you do that twice. 1, teta, 3, teta. Notice I didn't say 2 because 2 was part of the dotted quarter note. Okay, I know I'm going really fast here. You have this video, you can watch it as many times as you want. All right, so then after that, okay, you have 4 16th notes. Take away a beam. Now you have 4 8th notes, and you count them 1 te, 2 te. And then you have that same rhythm again there at the end. 3 teta 1. So the first measure, 1 teta 3 teta 1 te 2 te 3 teta 1. Use natural sticking, easy. Okay. The next measure is a little more complicated, and at this point I'll let you know I'm not going to cover every single measure on this first page. Okay, there's going to be some where I've given you enough information in another measure or another couple measures where you can then figure it out for yourself. Okay. So if I look at the second measure, okay, if you're ever confused about how to count something that involves a tie, take away the tie. So we're going to take away that tie for a second and just look at the first half of the measure. We have 16th, 8th, 16th, 16th, 8th, 16th. Take away a beam. You now have 8th quarter, 8th, 8th quarter, 8th. As in 1 te 8, te 3 te 8, te 1. Okay? Again, 1 te 8, te 3 te 8, te 1. Okay? When I add the tie back in, 3 goes away. 1 te 8, te 8, te 8, te 1. Okay? One more time. 1 te 8, te 8, te 8, te 1. 1 te 8, te 8, te 8, te 1. So all those te's wound up being on the left hand. Okay? And then the rest of the measure, again, you got a 16th plus 6 30-second notes. Take away a beam. You now have 8th and then 6 16th notes, which is 1 theta 2 theta. Okay? Quarter note you can't take away a beam from, so once you get to bigger notes, just think the next note up or down in the note tree. Okay? So a quarter note is counted like a half note. So the second half of that measure is 1 theta 2 theta 3. So the whole measure, 1 te 8, te 1 theta 2 theta 3. 2 beats on that last one. That's going to be important. Okay, so we can play that one now. 1 te 8, te 1 theta 2 theta 3. So the whole first line. Okay, anything in there you're confused about, go back, watch it again. All right, let's talk about rolls. We're going to jump to measure 6 now. Look at measure 6. So every roll, every tempo, time signature, we need to figure out what the subdivision for our rolls is going to be. Okay, in this case, it is going to be 16th note triplets. Okay, which is going to be kind of like 8th note triplets because we're taking away a beam. All right, so half note roll is 4 beats long because the 8th note gets the beat. So that roll becomes 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1. Okay, that's going to be our subdivision. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1. Okay, and then when I add the buzzes, okay, it's a little lumpy right now at this tempo, but we're going to go faster. Okay, and that roll smooths itself out. Okay, the end of measure 6 we just did at the end of measure 2. So all of measure 6 is counted 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly, 1 theta 2 theta 3. Okay, so that's measure 1, 2, and measure 5 and 6. Look at measure 7. Okay, a little more 16th notes and 30-second notes here. Again, take away the beam and start to think of those as 8 and 2 16ths, or 2 16ths and an 8th, or 4 16ths. Okay, and then that rhythm becomes pretty easy to count. 1 t theta 2, theta 3 t theta, 4 t theta 1, theta 2 t theta, 3 t theta, 4 t theta 1. Okay, all played at piano with a little crescendo at the end. 1 t theta 2, theta 3 t theta, 4 t theta 1, theta 2 t theta, 3 t theta, 4 t theta 1. Don't crescendo too much. We're only going to mezzo piano. Watch that as many times as you need, but that measure is pretty simple. Okay, the next measure, measure 8, we're now in mezzo piano. Take away a beam. So all 16th notes become 8th notes, all 16th rests become 8th rests. So this measure becomes just an unending stream of upbeats. 1 te, 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 1. You just got to count to 8 in your head. 1 te, 2 te, 3 te, 4 te, 1 te, te, 4 te, 1. Okay, so with the metronome, you can do all these flams on the right hand just to make them all sound the same. Okay, and then with the right hand at forte. So if I put those two measures together, measure 7 and 8, 1 t theta 2, theta 3 theta, 4 t theta 1, theta 2 theta, 3 t theta, 4 t theta 1, te, 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 1. Okay. Let's see. That is just about it. Go back now to measure 2. Now, there's not a whole lot more we're going to go over. Go back to measure 2. Okay. The only thing we're going to talk about here is there's a quarter note roll. It looks like it's on the upbeat because that measure starts with an 8th note. But remember that the 8th note gets the entire beat. Okay, and also that a quarter note now gets 2 beats. So that's going to be an 8th note for a beat, and then 2 beats of a roll, and then you go into the rest of the rhythm. So 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 is how you count that roll. 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4. Okay, and the rest of these rhythms are stuff we've already seen. 1, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4. Take the 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take the 1. Okay, so the measures I ask you to work on that I'm not going to go over in this video, they're all going to come from stuff that you already did. Okay, look at measure 4. This is one I'm not going to go over. Okay, we've seen all these rhythms before, just in slightly different variations. Look at measure 13. 13, again, is like if you look at the beginning of measure 13, it's just like the end of measure 2, but where the first note has been turned into a rest. Okay? When things look really similar and there's only one thing different, they probably sound almost identical. Okay? So if you get stuck, look for a rhythm that you already know how to do. Okay? Measure 14 is very similar to measure 13, so you can figure that one out as well. The last thing I'm going to go over in this video, well, two more things real quick. We'll talk about triplets for a second. Look at measure 11. Okay, so we have 16th note triplets. Okay, remember that each group of 3 16th notes is going to get a beat. This is basically the rhythm we were using for our roll. So this one starts out 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Okay, those are the first 2 triplets, and then we have an 8th note, which is twice as long as the 16th notes, which means the first and second note of that triplet, the 1 or the 3 and the la, have merged together, so you're going to leave out la. So to count all those triplets, you would say 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3, li 4 lolly, 1. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3, li 4 lolly, 1. Okay? And since that la falls on the left hand, that means we're also going to leave out a left hand. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3, li 4 lolly, 1. All right? So that part's easy. Or that part might take you a little bit of practice, but the rest of the measure is rhythms you've already seen. 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, theta 1. Okay, the last thing we need to talk about is the 8th note triplet at the end of measure 15. So look at measure 15. Okay, I'm not even going to count the first half of the measure. That's stuff you can figure out. Second half of the measure starts like what we just did. 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Those are the 16th note triplets. And then for the 8th note triplet, think an 8th note is every other 16th note, okay? Kind of like in our timing exercise. Okay? So when I go 16ths to 8ths, I'm just going to say every other one. So 1 lolly, 2 lolly becomes 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1. Okay? So you would count that 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 li, la, 1. Okay? And you would feel it the same way. You'd play every other note. Okay, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 li, la, 1. And yes, I am saying li, la in that order on purpose because those are the actual syllables. 1 la, li, 2 la, li. When you do that kind of triplet, you wind up saying la and li backwards. Okay, so that is all the material I'm going to cover. Here are the measures that you should not worry about right now. Okay, I just blasted through a bunch of information. Okay, do not worry about measure 9 and 10 yet. Okay, because there's different things I need to explain to you in that video, or in those measures. Do not worry about measure 12, and do not worry about measure 16. So 9, 10, 12, and 16, just pencil in like a very faint X or something on your page, okay? We're going to do those in the next video, but why don't you do the other 12 measures first, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 13, 15, and 16, okay? I'm sorry, 13, 14, and 15. So when you've got that under control, then you can we'll go on to the second video. I'll post that one at a later date, hopefully the day after this one posts. If you have any questions, text me, send me a short video, say like, Mr. Miller, is this right? Or I'm stuck on this part, and like point to the music and say, I don't understand how this works. I may redirect you to a certain part of the video, but I'm more than happy to help. But again, understand this is going to be first day of school, first page of the snare drum etude. We're going to start detailing it, not going from scratch. So if you don't know it, you're going to be super lost. All right, that's it for now.